Hi everybody, welcome to Wicked QnA Wednesday. This week I am joined by Sabrina, aka Sabrina Breen the String Bean. So I had two fans on Twitter ask me pretty much the same question, so I figured I would base tonight's QnA Wednesday off of that alone. So one person had asked me what's my favorite horror movie, and another had asked me what my favorite scary movie is. What's your favorite scary movie? Just kidding, guys. Just kidding. I am like a horror movie queen. Shout out to Shotzi. Girl, let's go at it. We'll give each other a run for our money. I don't actually have a favorite horror movie. I kind of have a favorite horror movie genre, like, like subcategory. And so I figured I would base this video so you guys, don't feel ripped off. I figured I would base this video off of several different categories. So since I don't have a favorite, actual horror movie, I will talk a little bit about a few. So for those of you that have been following me in my career for a long time know that last year I came forward on my YouTube channel talking about growing up in a legit bona fide haunted New England house. And I did a series of those in my blog as well as on my YouTube channel, and I called them Growing Up Haunted because legit that's what it was. We grew up haunted as F. Like, that house, to this day, my sister and I still have like nightmares about that house. Like it's like crazy. It's like calling to us in our sleep. Crazy. Don't mind like my crazy like hair and getup. I just did an outdoor workout. I am exhausted, but ain't no rest for the wicked, right? I'm like, well, it's another day. Okay, anyways, so let's see, categories for horror movies. Okay, so since I grew up in a legit haunted house, my favorite genre that I can identify with are like occult and like supernatural type of horror movies. That's kind of like my jam because of obviously how I grew up, so I'm always very fascinated by it. One of my favorite TV shows was actually airing on Destination America while I was on Ring of Honor, who was on Destination America at that time. So it was actually really cool because I grew up watching this show called A Haunting. Now, they've obviously been on Discovery, they've been on Travel, I think they've been on True TV and Destination America, but it's pretty cool to say, like, while I was on Ring of Honor on Destination America, one of my all-time favorite TV shows was also on there. So, I don't know, kind of cool. But growing up in a haunted house definitely gave me a very big appreciation for the things that go bump in the night. Like, they didn't mess around in that house. They really didn't. Okay, so one of the movies to scare me the most as a child was one that I was not supposed to watch, but I peeked around the hallway corner and saw a little bit of the movie while my mom and my sister's dad were watching it, and it was The Sixth Sense. Guys, this movie terrified me and scarred me for life. Haley Joel Osment, man, bro, you ruined my childhood. Oh my gosh. So, my bedroom when I was a little kid was on the second floor, and I had these hand-me-down, really tall, solidly built 1970s bunk beds. And at that particular time that I saw The Sixth Sense, there was no bed under the bottom part, and there was like 12 steps or something like crazy obscure like that to get up to the top bunk. And I was always afraid of that scene in The Sixth Sense, spoiler alert, where there's that puking girl that like grabs him under his bed. Y'all, I am telling you, for real, I swear to goodness that was going to happen to me in that house. Some way, shape, or form, that was legit going to happen to me. It was terrifying. Terrifying. Like, I swear, there was like a colony of those ghosts under that bed after I saw that movie. It was intense. Like, all those ghosts were really creepy, but that, like, puking little girl scarred me for life because it was like there were so many times where I felt like something was like under my bed, and the way the bunk bed was set up, you could only go down and up one way because the other side was up against the wall. So legit, going down there's big gaps, one, okay, there's the next step and the next step, and it was like, oh my gosh, there's so many opportunities for something to like grab my leg. Like, it was really creepy. And ironically enough, a fan asked me if I would do more of those growing up haunteds, and I actually just remembered a story based off of those bunk beds. So for real, guys, that was a real legit, like, neighborhood New England haunted house, man. So that's kind of my favorite genre, and one of the movies that scared me the most as a child. I was always that kid that wanted to scare everybody else, because, I mean, being scared was, like, a part of the norm for me growing up in a haunted house. Like, we were scared all the time. Well, at least me and my sister were. My mom was just like, hey, what's up, ghost? Like, how you doing? And my sister and I were like, oh my god. So when my little sister would have sleepovers, I always used to like to play The Exorcist and the original It to like scare the bejesus out of them. Oh my gosh, so funny. I'm a huge fan of the Sinister movies, especially the second one. I love the first Conjuring. The second one was okay. The third one, loved it. I really liked Insidious 1 and 2. I see, sensing a pattern. I love the Evil Dead franchise. As a little kid, I was probably about 4 years old, maybe. I used to love watching Freddy Krueger. I loved those movies. Loved them so much. I used to love watching him and Elvira, Mistress of the Dark, her horror hour stuff. I loved that. I was like, when I was like such a little kid, I was like, oh man, what if I grew up to be the next Elvira? I always thought that would be so cool. And like fast forward, you see kind of my own sort of portrayal similar in Ring of Honor. That was all me, and I thought that was like so cool. I was like, I'm like paying homage to Morticia Addams and Madame Hydra and Vampira, and of course Elvira. I'm like, as a 4-year-old who loves those sorts of things. One of the Halloweens scared me a lot because there was this closet in the house I grew up in that was really crazy. Like, that closet gave off some like really terrible vibes. It was really creepy. I think I actually talked about it on Hannibal TV when he interviewed me. I talked about that closet, I think, very briefly. So one of the Halloween movies where the person falls out of the closet, that was like, I could see that being in my own house. So that scared me so badly. But I love like the Halloween franchise, the, you know, oh man. I love all of that stuff. Let me see. For little kids, obviously, I love Nightmare Before Christmas, Hocus Pocus, Frankenweenie, James and the Giant Peach. My sister and I still to this day love a lot of the Disney Halloween production stuff. So like Halloween Town, Phantom of the Megaplex, Under Wraps, Mom's Got a Date with a Vampire. And if you guys want to go like super old school Disney, you can't find it. They do not have it on the Disney app. I looked and I looked and I looked. But I did find it on YouTube. You can find it on YouTube. And I believe it was for free when I found it. Fingers crossed you guys can find it too. Go back and watch. It has Gabriel Union in it. It has one of the Lawrence brothers. And the actor who was in Brotherly Love. Wait. I'm sorry. Not Brotherly Love. Boy Meets World. It's been a long day. The older brother from Boy Meets World is in it. I forget his name at the moment. And the Disney movie was called H.E. Double Hockey Sticks. And growing up in Massachusetts, hockey was always a big deal. The movie is based around hockey, and it has such a good Halloween vibe because, you know, people come up from hell in the Disney movie and stuff, and like they all look weird and creepy and super cool. So check out H.E. Double Hockey Sticks if you want to go super old school Disney. It's awesome. Highly recommend it. Find it here on YouTube. Super cool. Another one that I really liked a lot was Don't Look Under the Bed from Disney. For obvious reasons. Let me see. Yeah, there's just so many that I'm just like drawing a blank. I actually did, this might be controversial, I did like the remake of The Evil Dead. I love the zombie genre. If you guys want to see a really funny, campy sort of zombie movie, look up Fido. It takes place in like the 50s or 60s, and it's such a campy version of a zombie movie. It's almost wholesome, if you could call a zombie movie that. Like, it's very campy and corny, but I loved that. Oh man, I love like 98% of everything Rob Zombie produces. Him and his wife, Sherry Moon Zombie, I love them to death. So for me, I absolutely love, I liked his first Halloween movie, a lot. Let me see. House of a Thousand Corpses was pretty good, but, The Devil's Rejects is where it's at. I loved that movie. Black Circle Boys was another really good one that I really enjoyed. That's not Rob Zombie, but it just immediately came to mind. A recommendation for anybody that wants like a really good recommendation. Last weekend, I actually watched this on Hulu, and I think I would rate it like a 90 or 95 out of 100, because it was just like a really cool, like different sort of take, and I was like, oh, wow, okay. Was Trick on Hulu. That was actually really well done. There was very little critique that I could give for that, so I highly recommend that. If you have Hulu, check it out. I believe it was called Trick. I would probably rate it 90 or 95 out of 100, especially with how they told the story. They could have gone a little bit slower and more detail in the first like 20 minutes, but hey, that's just like a minor little thing, you know. So that is kind of one thing that I would recommend for today, without having to be super old school. Honestly, I could probably spend an hour going over different movies for you all to watch, but obviously that wasn't the point. So I wanted to give you guys some old school ones for kids, which I did. Some ones to watch as adults. Don't forget Beetlejuice. I mean, come on. You cannot go wrong with like Beetlejuice and Ghostbusters. You know, for like little kids and stuff. I think that would be really cool. The Witches was one of my favorites growing up with Angelica Houston. I think HBO just came out with a complete remake where the main character, instead of it being Angelica Houston, is actually Anne Hathaway. So I don't know how I feel about that. I'm going to reserve judgment just because I'm a huge Angelica Houston fan, obviously because I love The Addams Family, which is another one kids should watch. So you know, but I do love Anne Hathaway, so I'm like, oh, I'm probably going to love it, but I'm such a stickler for originals. I did like the new It's. I will say that, even though I'm such a huge Tim Curry fan, and I'm obsessed with Stephen King. I actually, before I moved around too much for wrestling, because I mean, in a matter of 5 years or so, 5 or 6 years, I moved like 15 times for wrestling. Yeah, people don't know how dedicated I really was, like, to wrestling. I was everywhere. Like, I was training in Canada, training in Michigan, training in Kentucky, training on the East Coast, like, training wherever I could get different kinds of training and stuff like that. So I was always moving around. But I had this huge collection of books, and a lot of them were Stephen King. But you know, at the end of the day, when you're moving around so much, you just have to get rid of so much stuff. So I got rid of it. One day I'll have it back. But Pet Sematary, I loved that. Salem's Lot, I loved that. That movie. Obviously, The Shining, I loved that. It creeped me out as a kid. It was awesome. So yeah, I could go on and on, guys. Like, this is my jam. I love this stuff. You know, I was also a huge fan of the midnight movies from like the 60s. So, I watched Eraserheads. I watched, you know, Rocky Horror Picture Show. I watched Pink Flamingos and like all kinds of like crazy stuff. I'm like a very versatile sort of person. So I like to get my hands on all kinds of things. Yeah, there's so many. Please comment below if you guys would like me to go over a whole list, and also if any of you would like to compete with me to see who can watch more horror movies. I think I'm already at 15 or 16 horror movies, and it's only October 7th, so I'm on a roll. I've been watching a lot of them while I'm working and stuff, so comment below if you guys want to challenge me. Also, I would love for you guys to comment below, since it's Wednesday, and tell me what you guys thought of NXT and AEW. Make sure you guys check out my article I wrote on Fightful.com for AEW celebrating their 1-year anniversary, as well as 30 years of Jericho. I also broke down both sides of what's going on with WWE and the third-party platforms announcements. So I would love to hear your thoughts on that. I will do another completely different video based on those for you guys. Don't forget, Taylor's Tiny Kitchen is coming very soon, and an all-new Fun Fact Friday. I'm very sorry for those of you that missed yesterday's podcast episode of Talks with Taeler Hendrix. It aired with Shaw Guerrero, and I talked briefly about how I got this really bad what do you call it, allergic reaction, and my face was just huge and raised and like beet red with these like scaly bumps. I had a really bad really bad allergic reaction on Thursday afternoon / evening, and there was no way you guys would have wanted to see me on camera on Friday. And so I had to postpone my podcast to finish taping it and everything. But you know, so I just wanted to give you guys a quick shout out, let you guys know everything that was going on, and I did not forget about you guys. I'll have tons of new content coming out. Don't forget to check out HE Double Hockey Sticks on YouTube for some awesome old school Disney. It's such a great message, but it's like a really cool and creepy kids movie too. I definitely recommend Beetlejuice, Nightmare Before Christmas, and Addams Family, Frankenweenie, anything Tim Burton really for kids. Horror movies, it's not really horror, but I love Sleepy Hollow. The Conjuring, the third Conjuring, Insidious 1 and 2. I really liked the Insidious one, The Lost Keys. I thought that was really cool. The original Evil Dead, as well as the remake. I love George Romero. He was so good. Side note, pretty much most of the Stephen King movies, to be honest with you, I grew up watching it all the time. I loved it. Halloween, most of the Rob Zombie stuff, especially The Devil's Rejects. Ugh. The House at the End of the Street is pretty good. I just, like I said, I just watched Trick from Hulu. Super good. Like I said, 90 or 95 out of 100. I should start my own IMDb. There's so many like really awesome things. It 1 and 2. Of course, you got to go with The Craft, the original Scream. Even Scream 2. Gosh, there's so many. Oh, The Thing. I love the movie The Thing. That was really good.